Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SEO on Air. Imagine you put out a great blog post, you've got some wonderful referral links, a lot of people are reading your post, you're getting some tons of traffic, average time on site is high, all the metrics are appearing really good. But you feel something is still missing, which we can guess it should be about the engagement. You're not getting that much of comments, not that much of leads. In today's show, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the ways to improve engagement on your site. Thereby you can attract more quality traffic and better conversions, because the more traffic is not means that you get more conversions. You need more quality traffic to your blog post. So to discuss more about this topic, we have a special guest today, Mr. John Krochune, who's the VP of SEO at AMP Agency, which is a full service marketing agency. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Awesome. So, guys, to give you a quick intro about John, so he has over 17 years of experience in increasing traffic to websites. So, he has worked with sites, be it startup or SMB to Fortune 500 companies. So, he's the guy for getting the traffic up. So, John, you're coming to our show with some great credentials. We are really happy to have you on our show.
Certainly a lot of experience. It's been a long time.
Awesome. John, I have six major questions. I'm going to see how you're going to help us understand these questions. We picked these questions from some of our subscribers. When we put out an information saying that we're going to have a podcast topic about improving the engagement, then these are all the questions that we got repeatedly, and we thought you're the best person to answer it. So shall we start?
Yes, let's do that.
Absolutely. So John, like I mentioned, when we rolled out this questionnaire to our audience, these are mostly SEO people. Now, the number one question that came back to us is like, can we explain like what exactly is the role that an SEO can play in bringing better engagement to a website?
Yeah, I think that SEO to me is really understanding how people are searching for information that they're looking for. And I think when you're working with brands or you're working with even your own company, you're trying to figure out what the audience is looking for. What are the things that they're going to Google or whatever search engine and trying to find more information about, and how do you best satisfy that question? How do you best figure out, like, if they're using this keyword, or even better, if they're asking this question, as now more users are doing, how do we create some kind of information piece, may it be a blog post or a
Mhm.
services page or what have you, that best satisfies the intent of that question. So I think from engagement, I think that what I'm trying to do is be helpful. I'm trying to figure out how my website, maybe
Mhm.
my client's website or my website, can be
Mhm.
helpful, the most useful
Right.
for the audience I'm trying to bring into my website. And a lot of that can be just, figuring out how to optimize, what you do or what your client does, but also, like, what are the key questions, or what are the key things that the audience is seeking that's related to the business, and how do you best answer those questions? And I think that's how you engage the audience, because if you do that, then they'll come to your site, and then they will hopefully get them down to what you really want them to do, which is convert, may they be a sale or a lead or what have you.
Right. That's awesome. So that's the straight bullet that you hit. So ensure that the blog post answers a question, and that itself should solve most of the issues, is what you're saying, right?
I think so. I mean, I think that's the blog post itself, like, it should answer. But I think the one thing that, when we're writing content, it's nice to have content that's optimized for those higher level funnel keywords. But
Right.
I think also you want to make sure that we are getting in front of the audience, what you do. It's wonderful to answer questions and such, but there should be some way to um, help
Hmm.
that person who's reading your content piece to
Right.
learn more about your company. And
Mhm.
if they're interested, um, sign up for whatever you're offering.
Awesome. Great. My next question is around the CTR, which is the biggest concern these days for the SEOs because of obviously the Google SERPs are changing. There's less differentiation between the ads and the organic results, and
Mm.
also the increase in the number of answer boxes and stuff. So I mean, what is the game for SEOs now, John? So what is the some of the key principles that we can still follow to improve the CTR for a result?
Yeah, it's always a tough one with click-through rate for organic search, because
Hmm.
for the longest time, if you were in the number one position
Hmm.
for any keyword, you were going to get the highest click-through rate. You know, it was like if Google
Yeah.
had deemed you, if Google had deemed that page the most relevant to the keyword that the user queried,
Right.
then you were going to get somewhere in the range of 35 to 55% click-through rate, depending on, you know, if there was anything else above it in terms of ads or something.
Hmm.
So like the click-through rate game to me for organic search is still kind of a tough one, because I still think that ranking, like where you appear on the page, matters. But I think that if we're looking to get a better click-through rate from a lower position on the page, I think that it really comes down to taking a look at the landscape of the result page for the keyword that, say, maybe you have, say, a position 5 or a position 6 ranking in the organic results of the page, which don't include the local pack or the answer box or anything else that Google's throwing at us at this point, right?
Right.
But I think that what you could do is then, you know, start to test out maybe some modifications to your title tag, which I think is the most important piece in terms of what gets displayed in the organic results that you have control over.
Hmm.
You still have to have that keyword in there. You know, you have to have that signal that says that this page is relevant to this keyword. But I think that you can do some adjustments of words after that first keyword. Like if you model the content of your title tag with the keyword is in the beginning of it, and then
Hmm.
at the end you have some kind of, you know, call to action or some other phrase that entices the user to click this result rather than the ones that they have scanned above yours. I think
Right.
that's where you can try to improve your click-through rate from a lower position. I
Absolutely,
think that,
John. Yeah.
yeah, I think that what we're doing now and what we're seeing now is that because the results, I mean, they're so personalized depending on where you are and your search history and so on,
Right.
that, you know, to really get it, it's one of these things where you're going to have to examine the search result page rather than just, you know, working in your spreadsheets and publishing things to the site. You really have to look and see what people are seeing in Google results.
Absolutely. And we ourselves have done it right, John, wherein, sometimes we would have searched it, not necessarily that we would have clicked the first result, because probably the one in the third or the fourth position might have had a better description that could actually, like you mentioned, that directly answers the intent that I'm searching
Yep.
for, and I'm more likely to click on it. So having a bad title description and ranking on first position still might not guarantee the traffic, right? Still, you need to
True.
get that right.
Yep. Yeah, meta description is also another place where you can start testing too. I mean,
Right.
it has less impact on the ranking. So I don't know personally. Like I kind of like skim those as a user, as
Hmm.
someone who looks at search. But if
Yeah,
you can figure out a way to, you know, maybe have it, you know, punch up that meta description, try to make it more of a call to action, I think that'd be a great place to test as well.
perfect. Now we have covered briefly about the type of content and the CTR and stuff. Now there will be a lot of instances where there will be a lot of natural links that is acquired by a page, which is actually a good sign of an engaging post, I believe. So can you tell us, like, what type of what is the quality of pages that that a blogger should keep in mind so that they get engagement through referral traffic through these kind of earned natural backlinks?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to that, it's more and more about all the ways you can answer a question. I think that the blog posts I'm seeing that are getting natural backlinks is that someone read it and said, wow, this is really thorough. This really answers the topic, to a T. I had
Right.
I had one major question to answer, but then it kind of went into, all the sub steps of the question, and did a good job of answering each and every one of them. I think the other thing about that, like, content aside, all the text you write, and having it in a way that can be scannable, that you can see, with subheaders that, oh, you're going to talk about this particular subtopic of the main topic. I think
Right.
that is helpful for a user to like get the sense of everything that you're going to discuss on the page. But also, I think visuals do a great job of getting people to say, yes, I'm going to link to this because it's so awesome, because it looks pretty. I think
Right.
the ability, working in, say, people doing like travel guides.
Right.
If you don't back that up with visuals about the place that you visited or you're talking about in this guide, and it better be, professional photos that are original,
Right.
that just stand out on the page. It's like it's almost like it's so engaging because people want to look at it. It's pretty, it's great. Not
Yes.
only is it like pretty, but also informative. And I think those are the two things that really are the formula to getting natural backlinks, because not only is it informative, but it's something you want to spend time with because it's so good
Right.
looking.
Absolutely. In fact, people like Brian Dean, their blog posts are like, so deep that anyone who wants to learn about SEO, they have some detailed guides on it. So they are so detailed that people just share them off on social media
Mm,
with their colleagues. So a lot of stuff goes on.
great.
Great. So, yeah, so moving on, my next question is about the metrics, John. So, there's a lot of discussion that happens about bounce rate, time on site. In fact, some people say Google takes that into consideration. There is another group which says that they don't look at your analytics data. But still, whatever it is, we have definitely seen that if the site is having more bounce rate, slightly there is a connection on the rankings as well. But, anyways, you correct us if you're wrong in this understanding. But can you tell us like a bit in detail about what is the relationship of these metrics in, when it comes to the real intent of the users, the bounce rate, time on site, the dwell time? First of all, are these really SEO factors? Are these just some fancy metrics that people are just trying to say?
It's a good question, and I think that there is a notion, and
Hmm.
it all comes back to Google's, you know, um, their positioning on, they want to provide users with a great experience. They don't want to drive their users from their search results to pages that don't satisfy the
Hmm.
intent of their query, right? So I
Right.
think there's this idea that if you have a result, or you have a page that shows up in their results, and a user clicks on it and then bounces back to Google's results,
Right.
say it's almost a signal to the algorithm that says, okay, this page, you know, other factors of the algorithm thought that it met the criteria to be relevant to this query. The user, and I'm guessing at a grand scale, we're probably thinking, thousands of users. If they go to the page and then bounce back to Google's results, that is a
Right.
bad signal. That is a signal that
Mhm.
says, well, all these people can't be wrong. Why are they going to this page and only spending a very short amount of time with it
Right.
to come back and then maybe click on another result than they spend more time on? I
Mhm.
think that I think there's been patents that have been put out. Don't quote me, but I think that there's some things that have been written about that is something that Google has used as a factor. Now, if you're looking at your Google Analytics and you've got this content piece and it has an 80% bounce rate, I mean, there's probably something going on there, especially if you think that users are coming to the page and they should be spending a lot of time with it. Um,
Right.
you know, since I've been working in SEO so long, I've seen pages that they were quick. It was before Google decided to become more of an answer engine,
Mhm.
but they were relevant to the question that was being queried in Google, but the answer was simple. It was kind
Right.
of very a quick answer. So to me, I'm like, well, why would Google punish a page or dampen the ranking of a page that answered the question, even if it was a quick answer? And I think that what
Right.
we've seen now is that Google's now changing the way that they present that information. They're not going to drive someone to only spend 30 seconds on the page and then come back, because they can answer that just by pulling a snippet into their results. But
Yeah.
that's another topic. I still think that if you're writing content that you want users to spend a lot of time with, to engage and increase and like have a want like at least 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know if your goal is to keep them on 2 to 3 minutes so that they're engaging and looking at all the things that you have on that page. But at the end of the day, like we're in business, and it's great if you can get them to stay on the page, but like does that drive the real result that you want, which is sales
Right.
or conversions? And I think that's the other thing you have to look at. Yeah, I think it's a ranking factor. I think that there
Mhm.
is, if you put out something and users aren't getting what they're looking for, that's a bad signal, and you're probably not going to rank. So
Yes.
it's something to keep an eye on, especially if you've like looked at an old post
Mhm.
and you've enhanced it. You've added more sections, and you've added great visuals. You've added interactive, graphs, like things that should keep people on the page and to keep them
Right.
engaged. If that doesn't improve your bounce rate, then there's something else wrong. There might be even a problem with your analytics. Who knows? But I
Absolutely.
think that certainly like having a healthy bounce rate for pages that you think are important to get organic search rankings on, that you think are important to your sales funnel. If I think if bounce rates are bad there, then that is something to improve by enhancing that content.
Awesome. Great, John. John, so can I ask you a personal question related to SEO itself?
Okay.
Um, yeah, so you've been doing this for 17 years. So do you remember the first time where you actually got that aha moment? Like, you know what, I did it. The site improved. So you still remember that?
Yeah, my memory's not that bad. Yeah.
So can you take us briefly through that moment? What you did, what worked. I know it's like probably way back, or maybe even a recent one that you might have come across. Something that that we can learn from you in terms of increasing the traffic to the site.
I think that, so we're talking probably 2002, 2003
Mm-hmm.
for me. I think that, so I started my career at iProspect,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, great.
in the first 3 or 4 months of my tenure there, it was just kind of drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
Again, back then, I would say, even though it's funny, I saw a poll on LinkedIn today that SEO still people, I think that there was a poll, and like 28% of people who were asked the question still don't have any idea how SEO works,
Right.
and like the fat middle was more like, I get the basics, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's still mysterious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
in the first 6 months of working there was really kind of just understanding it
Mm-hmm.
all. I mean, I had a background in understanding websites, I had
Great.
a background in maybe client service, but
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of just like, okay, we're going to change things to the website
Mm-hmm.
for Google, or back then it was many different search engines. I mean,
Yeah.
we were optimizing for them all. So just like making like, or at least working with clients and their development teams to make changes to sites. I think that the big aha moment was that
Mm-hmm.
um, when you're doing research into keywords, there's only so much you can do with the site as it exists today. I think
Right.
a lot of the work I was doing was like, okay, I have this list of keywords. How can I shoehorn these keyword phrases into the existing sites? And I
Right.
think that it's more of the understanding of um, what the audience is looking for and what the brand really needs to do to position itself
Absolutely. And this time period is
to
like
answer it.
no SEMrush, no Uber suggest. There's no
No,
Moz at that time, right?
no. I think it was more of like we were looking. Geez, we were using. There were other tool. I don't even know if Keyword Planner was available. I'm trying to think.
Mm, right,
Because I mean that was before AdWords was rolled out.
right,
Um, well, I think we were using other tools that had some sense of
hmm
keyword phrase volume.
right,
So you had that, but I think that it was really more of like you had all these lists and like yeah, okay, there's probably a list of like 10 crucial keywords that really
hmm
help describe what this company does. But then
right,
there's all these sub topic keywords that it would be
hmm
great if they had a resource center to answer more of
right,
them, because I think that there is like more related keywords out there that really did need their own pages to get the ranking, to help answer the question, and so on. And I think that was the other aha moment I had was just the connection of like, if you want to rank for something, you need, and things have changed a little bit, but still, I think the tenets are still the
right,
same. You need to
right,
optimize the page for the keyword. You have to have a page that's about that keyword. You have to
yeah,
optimize all the particular elements that gives the hints or the indications of that this page is all about X keyword. Make
mm,
sure it's in the title tag and it's in the body copy and use it in headers and it's in the URL maybe. And but then the other thing was then like, I think Google's not backed away from this, but like exact match external links, like that was the
right,
thing that was certainly like 17 years ago. You
right,
didn't even have to have the keyword phrase on your page,
hmm
and you could get enough links with that keyword phrase in it, exactly match it and point to the page, and suddenly you were number one for that keyword phrase. Like, oh, okay. So like having that grant, like kind of like more of a unified understanding of the tactics was kind of my aha moment too. That it
awesome.
was like you had to connect the keywords to pages, but then like what was going to be everything you were going to do to get that page to rank for that phrase, and there was a lot to it. I think that was the other aha moment for me.
Awesome. Great, John. You've come a really long way, and SEO has come a long way. And not a year has passed, that we've seen SEO's dead kind of articles, and still SEO is surviving. So it's great to be in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like I would say, like 5 years ago, I'm like, well, eventually, like this is going to go away. But I still think that as a traffic channel,
hmm
if you look at Google Analytics and you look at
Right.
just the breakdown, there's direct and there's referral and there's social and so on, and then there's organic. And like to
Yes.
me, like, and what I'm trying to do it at AMP
hmm
is we want to be the total channel management
Right.
for that traffic channel. We want to be able to, and we do everything. It's not like we're not just content experts or technical experts or what have
hmm
you. It's like whatever we're trying to do with that channel, whatever the goal is, if it's a sales goal or a conversion goal or what have you, like
hmm
we're going to do it. We're going to make sure, we're going to figure out what's working in that channel and make it do better. We're going to figure out what the most opportunity there is to improve that channel and
Right.
work on it. And it's not, it's the sad thing is it's not overnight, but I think that with a valid strategy and other channels, you're working with other channels too. I think that you can't just do organic search in a bubble for a long time. You do have to do some branding. You do have
Right.
to get your name out there
Yes.
in other channels. And I don't think like you can only do so much with organic search,
Yep.
and with that traffic, because if you're not growing, say your direct channel,
hmm
then if Google changes the way that they rank sites
Yes.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
you're in big trouble.
Big trouble. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Imagine the day when you wake up and there is an update on SERPs, and then suddenly you're seeing 10 ads in the first page.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the night. Hopefully, that's the nightmare which we don't wake up to. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there is one more question, John, that we have. This is quite common in the industry these days that people are, and obviously Brian is the person whom we should thank that for. The long form content, the pillar content that has like really depth content about a topic. Now what we see is that when such a length of content, like 6,000 words, 8,000 words of content, full of text. Now there's like a lot of information out there. Now, wouldn't be like becoming an overwhelming thing? What could be a point where it doesn't become overwhelming, and also how we can still engage the audience by giving them proper options to ensure that they consume the message properly without getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm all into video at this point.
Oh,
There's so much
okay.
that, I think that users want to read. I mean, I certainly read probably 3 to 5 articles a day,
Right.
just about the industry, just about business,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great. But then, I'll also love like watching a recording of a webinar that I missed because I had a client call or something, and I get
Right.
so much out of that too. And I think that translates to long form content pages, because I think that there's a lot of questions that can be answered better in a visual form. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of how-to questions to me
Right.
are best suited for video. If you can show someone through moving pictures and audio and step by step, I mean, I think that's the way recipes are going to go. Certainly, like anything I'm doing around the house, if I need to fix, like a bathroom sink, I'm going to YouTube and I'm going to figure out, how to do it from there.
Right.
But I think that they can also, kind of be used in these longer form content pieces where it kind of, demonstrates something that you're trying to convey in textual form, but in like a short video. And I think that people would stay on the page longer because I think they can like get the message through these short form videos. And you can also put them on YouTube. You can optimize there. You can get traffic from that channel, so on and so forth. But I think that to me, besides throwing up a bunch of you know like anchor links that, like, if you click on them it brings you to a certain section of the page,
Right.
that sort of thing. You can do that, but I think like even breaking it up into you know video content. Now again, budgets being what they are, I still think you can do simple videos for not that much budget, and
Yeah.
still do what you want to do, which is to give a little bit more context to the information you're trying to express on the page.
Absolutely. In fact, that summarizes it pretty well, John, because like you mentioned, the how to related queries. Now, like you mentioned, people are expecting videos. So obviously in few years, maybe not in a distant future, Google might be showing more of video results for these kind of terms compared to even the websites, maybe on YouTube. That's the results which we might get, right?
Yeah, I mean I'm seeing that a lot on queries related to you know um, how-to questions, or
Right.
things that need to be fixed.
Right. So
You
when
know,
people are looking at creating a content strategy, then I think if you are specifically trying to cover the how-to related content, then they have to really keep in mind that they have to literally look at a video option compared to a text option, right?
true, and it's also about because I'm privy to audience analysis tools,
Mhm.
with the full service agency there. There is
Right.
a lot of strategy understanding, like if the brand has persona that they're trying to reach, we use tools to understand media consumption habits of that particular audience. Something for SEOs to keep in mind: if the audience you're trying to reach over indexes for video consumption,
Hmm.
then it makes sense that that should be a part of your strategy. Absolutely.
Awesome. Now coming to the last question, I know I'll be making a sin if I don't ask this when it comes to engagement. It's
Okay.
it's the chatbots. So we know the whole world is talking about AI, and increase the moment we see article talking about increasing engagement, they say you need to have a chatbot in place. Now,
Mm.
can you explain us like how the future of these chatbots could be like as a means to keep the audience engaged until they intend to take a particular action on the page?
Yeah, I think, the things I've read about chatbots, and certainly we're at AMP, we're dabbling in, we have a voice application that you can find on, Google Actions or Alexa
Hmm.
Skill.
Hmm.
Um, but the actual, like, if you're on a page, I do a lot of reading on my laptop here, quarantined at home.
Right.
So actually interacting with chatbots, sometimes it's a frustrating experience. I think that as time goes on, they're going to get better. I
Hmm.
think that there'll be better natural language processing, and
Right.
they should be set up so that the most frequently asked questions, and they should be set up so that you can adjust them over time, so that if people are running into dead ends with your chatbot, that there should be a way to
Yeah.
adjust and make sure that that doesn't happen. But I
Right.
see this as something where sites are going to, especially large sites, if it's not um, super intuitive to find a
Mhm.
certain piece of information, or to take an action on the site, I can see chatbots being extremely helpful in that. And
Right.
I think the other thing that we're seeing with chat, like, you can also, based on the questions that people ask,
Hmm.
you can then market them differently. They can be put into a different funnel.
Right.
You can push them down. So I think that it's something. The future of chatbots is something that's is going to be very, very helpful. Right now I don't know if they if they're
Hmm.
all together 100% super helpful,
Yeah.
especially if you have a complex question, that it just
Yes.
should be like getting you to someone that can help you. Um, uh,
Absolutely.
you know, but I think that the future, I think, is going to help people to stay engaged with the brand, and I think there are some marketing implications with them too. That
Hmm.
if if there are certain questions, then it's like you can give them options, and if they
Yep.
choose option A or B, or B gets them a different funnel, and then you can see if they've been a prior customer, then it's like, oh, or have you run out of what you bought from us 2 months ago? Are you here to, like, learn more?
Yeah.
That sort of. It's To me, it's an engagement tool. It'll be a way to like answer questions for people. If they just landed on your homepage and you're able to quickly type in, or even speak to, if you're on your phone, a chatbot, and it can give you a quick answer, that's going to be great. It's going to, it's more of like a brand affinity, where, like, wow, they're intuitive. They knew that I had this question. They answered very quickly, and that'll help to have a user say, like, I'm going to go back to that site again to
Right.
buy X, Y, and Z. To keep them on the page, to engage, it's one piece. But then I think, like, the future is really about, if we can figure out, like, to answer people's questions better through
Right.
some kind of artificial intelligence, some kind of machine learning, if that's the case, then
Hmm.
that's going to be just impressive for brands to get ahead of. And maybe it's like you start now and
Hmm.
learn from it as time goes on, as the technology gets better.
Awesome. So yeah, that's a great explanation, and I think that's all the questions that I have. The most of our subscribers asked for. You've answered them pretty much easily. I thought there's going to be tough questions, but you answered them all pretty easily, John.
Jeez, I don't
And
know.
most importantly, something which people can understand. Even someone who doesn't understand SEO can easily understand what exactly needs to be focused on. So it's great to have these kind of insights from experienced people like you, John. We thoroughly enjoyed learning from you in this session. I hope the people who are listening to the show Please feel free to add your comments, your suggestions. We'll be linking out to John's LinkedIn profile and also the link to his website. So if you have any questions further related to how to increase your engagement for your website, please feel free to get in touch with John. I'm sure he'll be able to help you out, just like how patiently he answered all our questions. I'm pretty much sure you guys can get your answers from him. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to the show.